find a woman dead while putting out a southeast Kansas house fire. President Biden says he supports Major League Baseball's decision to move its All-Star game out of Atlanta, and 22 Egyptian mummies get all-star treatment as they move to their new home.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
An investigation is underway in Crawford County after a woman is found dead inside a burning home. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, a fire response turns into a death investigation. Officials say they received a 911 call about a house fire on South 250th Street, just south of Mulberry, shortly after 3:30 a.m. Sunday morning. While firefighters were putting the fire out, they discovered an adult female dead inside the home. Crawford County Sheriff Danny Smith says investigators from the state fire marshal's office were contacted and the body has been transported to Kansas City for an autopsy. No word yet on the cause of the fire, and the investigation is ongoing. Another early Sunday morning fire, this one in Joplin, left a building heavily damaged. This fire happened at 1330 South Wall Avenue near downtown. The building suffered smoke and water damage. Cause of the fire has not been determined. Well, even with the cloud cover, it sure is bright outside today. Michael Hayslip joins us with the first look at the forecast.
Tanya, I tell you what, Mother Nature just absolutely not only spoiled us over the Easter weekend, but she's going to give us 2 more days of beautiful April weather before it feels like a touch of severe weather season. We sit anywhere right now ranging from the high 60s, 69 in Pittsburgh, 69 in Monette, 70 in Joplin, but already 74 degrees in Chanute. It's been a beautiful Skywatch storm tracker the entire morning long. Little cloud filter in from the south, and what that does is actually trap the warmth that we had earlier this morning. So as we top out there in the mid 70s, the nice thing is overnight, as we creep through, it's going to be absolutely delightful for this evening and tomorrow. Now, speaking of tomorrow, that's where we get our legitimate changes. I'll get out of the way here because keep your eyes on the central part of Kansas as we are going to see thunderstorm activity make its way through for Tuesday afternoon and evening. Now, it's not really going to originate until about 9 p.m., but once it does, not only some heavy rain, thunder and lightning, but a cold front on the backside of it that's going to drop us down into the low 60s. Nice rebound here for the middle part of the week, but coming up here in just a little bit, Tanya, we're going to take a look at the old convective thunderstorm map. Yeah, it's April. That means it's time to bring that back into action because we do have to consider ourselves in the midst of high winds and also even the possibility of hail.
All right. Keep an eye out for that, that's for sure. Well, starting today, more states are opening up vaccine eligibility to all residents 16 and older, and that includes Florida and Nevada. Over the weekend, the Biden administration set a new one-day record for shots administered, surpassing the 4 million dose mark. Former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb told Face the Nation Sunday that infections among young people are driving new outbreaks in some states, but he does not expect to see a true 4th wave of the pandemic. Well, if you traveled this weekend, you had plenty of company and a sign that Americans are ready to move on from the pandemic. More travelers took to the skies over this Easter holiday than at any point since the crisis began. That's because the vaccine rollout is bringing back the confidence to reunite with loved ones. But for those not yet vaccinated, health officials say it's not yet safe. And they're warning that the loosening attitudes, together with the increase in new virus variants, could lead to yet another spike in infections. Political fallout continues from Major League Baseball's decision to move its All-Star game out of Georgia in response to the state's new voting law. Skylar Henry has more details from Washington.
The White House says President Joe Biden supports Major League Baseball's decision to move its All-Star game out of Atlanta after Georgia passed new voting restrictions.
The president has made his view clear that he believes that he has major concerns about the bill passed in Georgia. He's consistently argued it should be easier and not harder to vote.
The Georgia law shrinks the window for sending in absentee ballots, limits the number of ballot drop boxes available to voters, gives more control of local elections to state lawmakers, and makes it a crime to give food or water to people waiting in line to vote. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp says while there was no fraud in the last election, the law is needed to keep future elections secure.
Major League Baseball caved to fear and lies from liberal activists. They ignored the facts of our new election integrity law, and they ignored the consequences of their decision on our local community.
Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms told CBS this morning she respects Major League Baseball's decision.
But I don't like the fact that we have been put in this position by our state legislature and our governor, because the people of Georgia will suffer.
A number of companies, including Delta, Georgia's largest employer, have criticized the new law, prompting former President Donald Trump to call for a boycott of the companies. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Cobb County, Georgia estimates it will lose up to $100 million in revenue as a result of the MLB's decision. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, we take you to Egypt to check out the sides from an Egyptian parade of mummies. And later, we're making a lemony, asparagus, and radishes salad in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Egypt inaugurated a new museum in a way only a country with thousands of years of history can. Nearly 24 mummies were given the royal treatment on the way to their new home. CBS's Ian Lee reports.
It's a celebration fit for a king. Or rather, a pharaoh. Egypt rolled out the red carpet for 22 mummies. They paraded through the streets of Cairo with the kind of pageantry not seen in thousands of years.
With great pomp and circumstance, the mummies are getting their due. These are the kings of Egypt. I mean, these are the pharaohs. And so it is a way of showing respect.
Officials moved the mummies from the iconic Egyptian museum to a new home, one better suited for their preservation. Modern-day chariots with special shocks carried Egypt's past kings and queens. The former rulers arrived with a royal salute, while the country's current ruler, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, greeted his predecessors. These ancient monarchs connect the country to its past, but also help with the present.
People should understand that these pharaohs are incredibly important historically and also important now because this is part of Egypt's economy.
The blessing of the pharaoh looking after the people of Egypt, even in the afterlife. Ian Lee, CBS News.
The parade included one of Egypt's most famous pharaohs, Ramses II, while the oldest ruled Egypt for more than 3,500 years ago. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
We've got just the thing to turn these spring veggies into a salad that'll excite your taste buds and leave you smiling all day long. Sounds crazy? Stick around and I'll show you.
First, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Hope everyone had a glorious Easter weekend as we had a wonderful, wonderful bright lit morning, but now we're going to have to put up with clouds for the rest of the day. But even with that being said, our temperatures warmed so fast that we already sit at 70 degrees at the lunch hour. Now, usually we peak out about, anywhere between 4 p.m. and our average high would be 67. We're 3 hours ahead of that and already 3 degrees above that. Now, we look at our wind coming in at 18 miles per hour, and usually about that time, we say, well, it's warm. What are we going to do? Gust up to 40, 50 miles an hour now? We're just going to keep it in between the 20, 25 mile an hour range. Not too bad. And the nice thing is we are able to avoid any elevated fire warnings. We'll get to that in just a second, but let's take a look at our temperatures. 70 in Joplin, 72 in Neodesha, 68 in Miami, and 71s in both Lamar and in Carthage. Now, our humidity, not too bad, 51%. When we had those elevated fire warnings last week, that's when we were dropping as low as 30%, anywhere down to 25%. And that's what we're seeing right here from the deep southwest all the way up to the Rocky Mountains. And so, no surprise when we talk about where the watches and warnings are for those red flags and those elevated fire conditions. We see them right here through this portion. The tan indicating high wind warnings, the red flag warnings that we had last week, and you see them up in the Dakotas right here. That's where they had a state of emergency because of their wildfire problems. So we do luck out just a little bit despite the fact that our wind has increased. A little bit of cloud cover moving in from the south, but still 51% humidity, still pretty dry. You may see a raindrop or two just every now and then with those clouds, but it's not going to amount to anything. It's actually going to be a very pleasant afternoon and evening, and it'll continue into Tuesday. The ridge of the jet stream pushing all the way up through the Canadian border and over the Great Lakes. And what that will mean, whole bunch of warmth. You get straight under the ridge and you're absolutely perfect. As a matter of fact, look at these temperatures. Minneapolis, Minnesota right now is warmer than Joplin. Who would have thought that? And as a matter of fact, Minneapolis, warmer than Atlanta. What we do have is a big low pressure system right here working its way in the Pacific Northwest, right on Oregon. It is going to make its way over the Rockies and eventually give us thunderstorm activity for Tuesday night into Wednesday. But before we get there, 2 glorious days to start our work week. We'll be up around 75 degrees by the time we top out today. We will have that gradual increased cloud cover, but look at what this does for Tuesday morning. Keeps us in the 60s. You got to remember, go back a couple weeks ago, we couldn't even fathom topping out in the afternoon for the 60s. Absolutely getting spoiled. But now, as we work from Monday into Tuesday, we'll keep our eyes out in central Kansas. Now, Tuesday morning, see a little pop-up right there? That's not the one we're looking for. We're waiting for Tuesday afternoon for it to develop. And once it does, it's going to barrel in that low pressure system that we were talking about out the Pacific Northwest. Heavy rains going to last all the way through Wednesday morning. And when it rolls through, we're talking thunder, lightning, heavy rain, and the possibility of some wind and some hail as well. And that's why when we go to the mowing forecast, if you want to get anything done, I'd say today and tomorrow are going to be perfect. Wednesday is going to be probably worse than poor. I just couldn't come up with another category. And Thursday, only fair because you're going to have to put up with the rain that we're going to get from Wednesday. We're talking anywhere from 1 inch to 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches when we talk about those heavy pockets. Severe thunderstorm risk map. We do see the low category up to the northwest portion because remember, everything's going to generate in north central Kansas and then work its way straight through the 4 states. So it breaks up a little bit as it works to the east, but everybody out here needs to know that's going to be the worst threat for the high winds and also the hail. But you'll notice even this minimal category, the light green, that's simply thunderstorm activity. Usually we fall in that category, but no, we're going to go minimal for the rest of the south central 4 states all the way through southwest Missouri. Give you an idea of this national perspective here as we make our way through. No, sometimes she doesn't want to cooperate. That's fine. I made my point there. Thunderstorms Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Tanya, Thursday is going to be chilly, especially considering we're going to get spoiled with back-to-back mid-70s. But look at this. End of the week, end of the weekend, 74, 68, whole bunch of sunshine. And it's kind of one of those things where Mother Nature was like, I gave you a gorgeous, gorgeous Easter, so you're just going to have to kind of tolerate some midweek thunderstorms.
There you go.
A fickle mistress she is.
But she did give us a beautiful Easter, and you can't complain about that.
I do not
was
complain
nice.
about her ever.
I know you don't. And if someone complains, they don't complain about her, they complain about you, and you'll take it. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Sergeant Jamie Schulte in the U.S. Army. The soldier hails from Westphalia, Kansas. He joined the 891st Engineer Battalion in 1990, serving a tour in Iraq. To Sergeant Jamie Schulte, we thank you, our 4-state hero. Looking for a way to excite your taste buds and bring a springtime smile to everyone at the dinner table? We've got it. Today, Howard shows us how to make a lemony, asparagus, and radish salad in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Now that it's officially spring, it's time to add a few new dishes to our dinner time routine. So, what do you say we make a farm stand favorite that combines a bunch of spring veggies with a yummy lemon vinaigrette? Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Let me show you. The first thing you want to do is blanch a bunch of fresh asparagus until it's tender. Then, to stop the cooking, we place them in ice water. Next, we cut up some radishes into thin slices. Just make sure you tuck your knuckles in like this when you're cutting them so you don't nick yourself. Now we cut the asparagus into pieces and add those to the radishes along with some scallions and lemon zest. To give our salad its fresh taste, we make a dressing by whisking together lemon juice and sugar. And once the sugar's dissolved, we add olive oil and a bit of salt. We pour this over the veggies and into the fridge it goes. It may be simple, but let me tell you, the combo of the flavors is so refreshing. You see, you get the crunch from the radishes, the zing from the lemon, and the earthiness from the asparagus. To get the recipe for our lemony asparagus and radish salad, simply visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we discovered a spring-tastic way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Two of my favorite vegetables, asparagus and radish. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Partly cloudy skies, but highs still in the mid-70s later this afternoon. Big developments are going to be tomorrow night as thunderstorm activity rolls through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. We're looking at heavy rains, high winds, and even the possibility of hail before we calm down. Cooling front, but then back into the 70s by Friday.
All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, a pilot program at one California school district is monitoring wastewater to detect COVID. Researchers say with COVID, you can detect the virus in feces, sometimes even before a person tests positive. Plus, a Joplin medical marijuana dispensary becomes the first to open in the city. We're going to talk to owners about the goal of the business. And Joplin police officers get crafty today with pinwheels to bring awareness to child abuse. Be joining us for those stories, a lot more. KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.